The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, new outside bar, now open on match days.
Chance here, a great save by Turner from McClare. Might come a terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brentford against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday Week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me on the line, first of all, we have Mr. Marriott. Hello there, James Jobing.
I'm very excited this evening because I have a prop. Because as we do this now, it's just after 10 o'clock on transfer deadline day. So obviously when people listen to this, they'll know whether we've signed anyone in the last hour of the transfer window. But us, as we do it,
dildo?
We won't. So I have a prop. So
Is it a blow-up doll?
We can carry on talking about all the stuff that we normally talk about on the podcast. If at any point I notice on Twitter that we've signed anyone, you'll hear this. And that will indicate.
Is that just a cup in your kitchen?
No, it's a proper belt. Let me move the microphone down so you can fully appreciate it. Hang on.
It's just a cup.
No, that's it. We all have to
Definitely.
come to playtime now, don't we?
It's like
we've bloody got double maths now, James. You've ruined it.
It's raining. Everyone play Uno.
It's proper like one of those things that you get in like old-fashioned hotels where you have to ring the bell for attention. It's brilliant.
Can I have one?
Its technical name is a concierge bell.
Is it? It's got the word service written on it that someone's like scratched in using a compass or something.
Where have you stolen that from?
It's stolen this from a hotel.
I can't tell the story publicly about where it's come from.
Oh, God.
Are we still recording?
I hope not.
And as you've probably heard, ladies and gentlemen, we also have Mr. Fudge on the line with us. Fudgy, help me.
Hello there, folks. How's it going? I thought I'd put a posh voice on because I'm in the south. I'm in Poole tonight, which, as I said on Twitter earlier, is a lot like Skegness with less vests. If you've been to Skegness, you'll understand.
Victoria, my darling, how the devil are you?
Live in Poole. Oh, hello. Sorry, just quickly, Fudge, doesn't Harry Redknapp live in Poole?
I don't know. I've not seen him hanging out the side of a Land Rover today.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like, if he does, can you please go to his house and get a video of him leaning out of his window and just say, "My name's Harry Redknapp, and I listen to the Wednesday Week, and I always pay my taxes."
He lives at Sandbanks, which is that really, really posh bit with the massive
That's in
houses. Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. It's literally down the road. It's literally down the road from where I am. I'm in the Poole Key area. And this is not interesting and or evocative once again, is it?
Hashtag where is Fudge?
Lonnie, who else we got?
Well, apparently we've still got Victoria. Hello, my darling. How the devil are
Hello,
you?
my lovely. I'm all right, thank you. Are you?
I am, and I'm going to mute you. Mr. Davies, how the devil are you all been?
I'm really well. Fading slightly. I've been sat watching transfer deadline day in my pants since about 4 o'clock, so I'm fading fast now. I'm good.
Far too much information, Orvin. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got a full house today. We've only got Eddie back with us. Eddie, my friend, how the devil are you? Where the chuff you been?
I'd like everyone to refer to me by my new name. I've changed my name by deed poll. I'm now going to be known as Concierge Bell. And that's my official sound effect.
Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on, shall we? Of course, first things first, while the transfer window is happening in the background, let's have a little chat about the Brentford game, shall we? Has to be said, as we mentioned last week, obviously Brentford having their issues, we were having our issues last week, and we came out really swinging, didn't we? How on earth were we not 15-0 up by half time?
Do you know, it was a weird game, and I almost feel a little bit guilty because afterwards, in the pub, I was having a chat with the Brentford guys who were recording for their podcast, and I think I was a bit harsh on us because I said after they went 1-0 up, it kind of felt like we didn't know how to break them down. It felt like we could have played all afternoon and not scored, which is stupid because we did score. And then afterwards, I kind of thought about it and thought, do you know that I think maybe I just kind of came away disappointed that we hadn't won the game. Then I watched the highlights and I just thought, do you know what? We absolutely pounded them. We really did. How we didn't get 3 points from that game, I don't know. How did we not score in the first half? Has there ever been a team create that many chances and not put one of them away?
I think didn't Liverpool do that against Burnley and end up losing 2-0 the other week? It's like a similar sort of thing. And I think that on the back of that Premier League fixture and on the back of the Wednesday one, there's been a lot of discussions on places like TalkSport and stuff like that where they're discussing how being crap with the ball and not having the possession is a good thing. It's been really weird on those sort of outlets this last couple of weeks especially, and they did use the Sheffield Wednesday Brentford game as an example. When you're at the bottom of the table and you're struggling for points, there is a case for letting them have the ball and just defending. I think it was highlighted. I'll tell you what a great example of it was: England and Wales, and then England and Russia. Wales and Russia. Wales had to take the game to them, and that's not what they're used to. Whereas, England had to take the game to Wales, and they just sat on it, and they played like, I think one commentator called them the dog and duck. And I think that, there is a definite case for it, and I think it's not going to be the first or the last time we're going to see it this season, because we are the team to beat, and it's down to us, being the team that were 90 minutes away from Premier League football, to break them down. And it just doesn't seem like we can stick the bloody ball in the net, does it?
Well, to be fair, a lot of the chances in the second half, the Brentford keeper, what's his face, Bentley, isn't he? He made some cracking saves as well, to be fair to the chap. He really did pour some stunning saves.
He had an absolute blinder. He really did. Particularly those, there were kind of 3 or 4 saves in quick succession. And where I was stood at like the back of the terracing, where your view's not brilliant, and every single one of those, when we hit the ball, I thought, oh, that's going in, and then the crowd didn't cheer. So I'm like, how did the keeper save that? How did the keeper manage to save that? So yeah, he had an absolute worldly. We've got to mention, haven't we? Unlike Kieran Westwood, who didn't have his finest hour, and I feel like that's all we should say about it, because that guy has earned us so many points over the last 2 years that to dwell on his one mistake seems completely unfair. However, what we can dwell on is that miss by Lucas João. We need to talk about that. There's still some major debate going on about whether it was offside or not, and I did a scientific study by tweeting out and asking people if it was offside, and the consensus from that is that yes, it was offside, so it wouldn't have counted anyway. But you know what? I think my mum could have scored that.
Can we also just point out as well, can you imagine if Nuhi would have missed that? If that had been Dave in that situation?
He would have. There's no doubt about that.
No, there's no footballer walking the planet today that would have missed that. That was right up there with. Do you remember Carnu somehow managed to side foot it over the bar half a yard out about 10 years ago? It was right up there with that. So no, there isn't a footballer walking the planet
as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was right up there. It's, you know what? If there was still a burgeoning DVD and VHS market, that would be in the trailer for. What was he called? What's that guy with the beard called who used to do They Think It's All Over? Rory something or other.
McGrath.
Rory McGrath. He used to do every Christmas. He'd do like Rory McGrath's funny football bloopers. That would be all over.
Oh my God, I had those.
Everybody did, because anyone that had a relative who knew that you liked football but didn't really know football would just buy you that as a generic present. So yeah, it was right up there. All time great miss. But no one can tell me that it mattered whether he was offside or not. He was playing to score that goal. So hang your head, Lucas João. Any of us on this podcast, and look at us, to be honest, we are a mixture of terrible
and I'm a girl.
footballers. Well, no, you're probably the best footballer amongst us, to be honest.
To be fair, Vic, yeah, you would be, but you'd end up with black eyes after running 5 yards.
In Mr. Zhao's defence, one of the saves that Bentley made was from a cracking Zhao header as well. It really was a belting header. So in Mr. Zhao's defence, he did have some decent points of that game as well. One of them being that header, but yeah, it wasn't fantastic, was it? To be perfectly honest.
How long do you think that fury is going to last, though? Because like anyone, when you make a bad miss or you miss a tackle when you're playing five-a-side or whatever, you get the fury, don't you? You want to make up for it. That miss was so bad. This could actually light a fire under Lucas João for the rest of the season, to the point where he scores 35 goals between now and the end of the season.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Because that was the first 10 on the Ronnie Rosenthal scale that I think I've ever seen. Because that's what it was. It was a 10 on the Rosenthal scale. Incredible. Can I talk about the good stuff?
Absolutely.
Because I thought after a couple of games where things hadn't really gone our way, and we all said last week that the shape against Leeds wasn't right. I thought the shape was absolutely bang on against Brentford, and full marks to Carlos. He made the changes that were right, and I think when the team was announced, we all kind of had a bit of a double take, because there were a couple of players in there that we maybe didn't expect, but I think he got it spot on right. I think David Jones had a really, really good... it was effectively his first game, wasn't it, or his first start for us, up until the point where he got himself sent off, which was a bit silly. And I think Liam Palmer deserves a mention as well, because I thought that he played really, really well, and I think that he's done enough to keep his place there at right back. And naturally, Sammy Hutchinson deserves the biggest mention of them all, because not only did he have a pretty solid game as well, but have you ever seen someone so pleased to have scored that goal?
In more ways than one.
The smile on his face, yes.
That smile on his face.
And
an enormous smile on his face. Darren Latchman would have been proud of that celebration.
Vic, I am fuming you got there before me. I literally opened my mouth to have Darren Latchman come out of it, and you beat me. I'm not going to get outdone on the knob gags here.
By the way, that was the first goal that Brentford have conceded at home in 272 minutes. That's tonight's
really?
Thank you, Joe Cran.
Boring stat of the week.
No, I think that's a fantastical stat. One of the other things I would like to mention about the Brentford game is obviously Liam Palmer dropping in. We've all had plenty of chat about the left-back position over the last few weeks with transfers and one thing and another. Of course, Mr. Hunt didn't have the greatest of starts to the season, shall we? And a lot of people do get on Palmer's back, but to me, he looked like a really, really good, solid game.
I'm pretty sure at this point that Liam Palmer is one of two identical twins, and there is good Liam Palmer and bad Liam Palmer. It's his evil twin, Ramon, right? And whenever Liam Palmer gets a chance...
Hang on, Eddie. Eddie, you clearly spent your summer of '94 watching Sunset Beach, and that's where you've got that name Ramon from. Because I remember Ben and Ramon, and I didn't go out and play football until I'd watched Sunset Beach. You're the same age as me. I know your game. You're ripping off Channel 5's long-running soap opera there.
Guilty as charged. But I can only assume that they came up with the idea off the real truth of the Palmer brothers. So every time that Jack Hunt has a bit of a dodgy game, let's bring Liam Palmer in. He has an absolutely fantastic game, gets all the plaudits, and then I guarantee he went home, to Sunday lunch at his mum's house. Mrs. Palmer was there dishing out the rice and peas or the roast beef, whatever it is, and Ramon ties Liam up in their childhood segment and doesn't let him out. He then turns up at Hillsborough, picked for the next game, has an absolute shocker, and then he goes back home again. Let's Liam escape.
Oh, hashtag let's stop Ramon.
Yeah. Hashtag stop Ramon.
Stop Mrs. Palmer dishing up the rice and peas. Oh, that did me.
Oh, and he's back, ladies and gents. What a bloody pleasure it is too. Right, so of course, the Brentford game itself, as James alluded to earlier, the chances were created, and some of the football we played was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? So there are plenty of positives. It's just a little bit disappointing, the result, of course. As James mentioned earlier, Jones, at the time he was on, obviously got his first yellow card, second yellow card. This is something we're going to have to be careful of this season because it's changing, isn't it? A second yellow card for dissent, which gets you sent off the field.
Stupid rule, though, my lord. Doesn't it make you think? Imagine if I'd have been a referee. Honestly, I'd have sent off everybody with this new rule. I'd have been
If you were the referee,
that's you.
The game wouldn't have started. You wouldn't have got on the pitch. They
I
sent
know.
them off in the tunnel.
I'd have been like, that was rude. Off. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Daryl, put it away. Off.
I can imagine the type of things that footballers say to you, Vic, to be fair. I mean, this is something that does need
It's not like, okay, Victoria, you've had a photo. Can you leave me alone now?
Stop stalking me in car parks. Oh, that's James. Wait a minute, that's James with the car park stalking. I think it's something that needs addressing. I really do. I think it's something that needs bringing up. I mean, a lot of people compare the respect to the rugby referee as they do to the football referee. And I have never witnessed in my life the referee go to any player in the 30-odd years I've been watching football, and even the football in the past. Has any player walked up to the referee and gone, "You've got that wrong, fella," and he's gone, "Oh, all right then, I'll change my mind." Do you know what I mean? I don't know why they bother. I mean, does anybody remember back in the day when Robbie Fowler went down in the penalty area, got up and went, no, I fell over.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And the referee went, "No, you're still having a penalty." And I think he just kind of bashed it against the post, didn't he, out of sportsmanship?
Yeah.
But I think, he's not going to change his mind. Shut the F up. Do you know what I mean?
It was very silly, wasn't it? And lesson to be learnt by everyone. Let's not have the otherwise. Fessy's going to be set off every bloody week, isn't he?
What was it actually about then? Because I only listened to it on the radio. Like, luckily, when we scored, I was in a 50-mile-an-hour zone on the M1. Otherwise, we would have been up some sort of embankment. But what was the actual... What did he say? Because nobody on Radio Sheffield had a clue. Rob Staten and John Pearson had no idea. It was a bit of a Chris Kamara
They didn't even know that he'd been sent off, did they? I watched the highlights back. It took them about a minute to actually figure out. They're like, I think I think they're bringing a sub on. No, he's not. He's walking. Oh, he's been sent off.
They even announced the Chris Kamara-ness of what they were doing, wasn't it? But it was clearly one of those where Rob was looking down at his laptop to get some latest scores, and John was, signing autographs or something, and both of them missed the pivotal moment of the game.
But to answer Vic's question, essentially, there was a foul committed by a Wednesday player, I think the referee gave, not by Mr. Jones.
No.
So he turned around and basically just waved his arm at the referee like you do and probably said, "How ridiculous of you, you naughty, naughty man." And the ref sent him off for it. So, but...
See, it's getting a bit daft, isn't it? I mean, unless he
is the rule
punches him
this
in
year,
the
though, isn't it?
face. Yeah, but that's a silly rule. I don't even like the foam. I'm not ready for this. I don't even like the foam.
I was in. Hold on to your horses with this, ladies and gents. I was in Poundland the other day, and they do actually have now vanishing foam in Poundland. So if you need any, you know where to go.
How much is it?
James, guess what I'm going to do next Riverside Cafe?
Hang on a sec.
Everywhere you stand.
Just before we move on, can I just do a half an hour to go in the transfer window? Half an hour to go.
And quickly, just harking back to these new rules as well. Now, it's all well and good, obviously, Mr. Jones has been sent off. But if you do sort of remember back a little bit to the Burton game, we got a penalty for something that we didn't normally get a penalty for. Obviously, fisticuffs in the box during a corner, because that's something that's been a massive change, obviously, throughout the Football League. So it does look as though there's going to be a few changes across the board, doesn't it? And can we moan when these things go against us as well as when they go for us?
It gives us something to talk about, doesn't it?
Technology. That's the worst thing, isn't it? If they bring in a buzzer on the line, then I'm out. But other than that...
I always thought that shirt pulling was a penalty. And for some reason, it's been exaggerated in the first few weeks of the Premier League, especially. And everybody's saying, oh, it's a new rule. And I always thought pulling a shirt was penalty, full stop. And, that was it.
There's not been many refs giving it, has there? And to be fair, it's been 6 of one and half a dozen of the other in the majority of cases. But we've seen, is it Mike Dean, the little, like the 3.5-foot referee, who started giving it like every time now? I think he gave 2 in the first weekend of the season, didn't he? So I think we'll probably see more of that. Before we move on from Brentford, are we going to talk about Attygate or are we not going to talk about Attygate?
We have to mention it. No, we have to mention it because we are here to report the Sheffield Wednesday news of the week, aren't we? So we do have to mention it.
I obviously this completely missed me by until I got to the pub afterwards, and I think one of my mates mentioned it who'd tweeted something about it earlier. So if my understanding of this is right, so actually this all started when Atty came on, and apparently there was a small section of fans, and I've got to say I didn't hear it, but I've got mates that did. There was a small section of fans that booed him as he came on, which is ridiculous. But then as he was going off, someone who was in the upper section of the away end shouted something at him, and so he slipped them a bit of middle finger, and all hell seemed to break loose. Yeah, I've got no idea if this is true or not, but quite a few people have mentioned it on Twitter, which would suggest that there's, no smoke without fire, all that kind of thing.
If I shouted abuse at you, James, you'd rod me.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not paid several £1,000s a week to act like a professional.
Yeah, footballers have got to take it. That's part of the role, isn't it? They've got to take a bit of abuse from the stands and not react to it. That's what it's all about. And then when they do something good and they can stick to fingers up metaphorically, not actually physically, to away fans or whatever, then go for it, and just milk it a little bit. But you can't be doing that stuff.
They're idiots. They're absolute idiots. It frustrates me so much as a chap, and I apologise. I can't remember the chap's name, and obviously with the transfer window, I'm struggling to sort of whiz back through my Twitter messages at the moment. But yeah, he pointed out on Twitter that if you look at the actual goal, Sammy's goal, there's a reason Sammy was all in his own for that header. Which, don't get me wrong, still he had a lot to it. It was a belting header, but there wasn't a defender around him because Dave stopped him running with Sammy. He was stood in front of him. He couldn't move. He couldn't go anywhere because of what Dave was doing. Dave's off-the-ball play is incredible. And why people don't see this, I do not understand. So if you're booing him, I'm sorry, not only are you a poor Sheffield Wednesday fan, you're a chuffing idiot because you don't watch football other than if you're watching the ball.
Preach, Lord H. Preach.
Yeah, brother.
Couldn't agree more. Too many fans who basically only watch the 6-yard box. They don't see the movement. They don't see the way that he pulls. He literally is like a magnet. So the way I can describe it, he is like a magnet. When he moves, it pulls the shape of the game in the direction that he moves. And no, he's not a natural goal scorer. He's not a natural anything. Just look at him. Apart from a naturally beautiful man.
Is that the same kind of magnet?
No, that's
Fudge is a whole different kind of magnet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so he has a role to play. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that it's always the best idea to sacrifice a player who's going to have a real impact in terms of goals scored. When we're only going to pick 2 strikers, is one of them going to be Nui all the time? I don't know. So it's horses for courses. But when he comes into the game, he knows what he's doing and he executes it brilliantly. So unless Carlos is the idiot here and he's putting Nuyu on to do something different from what Nuyu does, then Nuyu's doing an absolutely brilliant job of it. So step off.
Well said.
Yeah, bitches, step off.
So as is now Wednesday week tradition, after the game, I whacked my phone out and got my muff out. I had a chat with our friends from Besotted, the Brentford podcast. So I had a word with it's Billy, Dave, and the Allard. And even if you're not particularly interested in what they're saying, just have a listen and afterwards try and work out how many pints I'd had before doing this interview. Okay?
Oh God.
So full time, Brentford 1, Wednesday 1. I mean, we should have walked that one, shouldn't we?
At the end of the day, you can only walk a match when you score goals and put the ball in the back of the net. But Wednesday didn't put the ball in the back of the net. So yes, you should have won on paper. But football ain't a paper game. It's a game on a green pitch with 22 men running around. And that's how it goes. Because we had the man Bentley in goal and he was an absolute superstar. Bang, scores, save the ball, boom, save the ball. Players throwing themselves. And also, with all due respect, something that we couldn't control is your players up front doing all sorts of nonsense, falling over, kicking the ball in the stand, and when they're right in front of the goalkeeper, they should have put the back of the net, but instead, Christ knows what's going on. Now, that's out of our hands. That's in your Wednesday boys' hands, isn't it?
Is it fair to say that the only goal that you would score today was by a mistake by us?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Westwood, he's a Brentford fan, right? And as the Brentford fans were singing, Westwood is a Brentford fan, and he was chanting his name, and he turned around and he bowed to us, and we know he's a Brentford fan. And what he did is he took the ball and he gave it to VB and said, "Here you go. You can put the ball in the back of the net," and we were very happy with him.
I've got to say, Westwood, he did take it in good spirit. He got a lot of grief. He got a lot of shit, and we were asking what the score was, and he turned round and he kind of laughed, and he did get dogs abuse. Wednesday should have been three goals up at half time. You had the chances, but just like last week at Rotherham, we had all the possession, we had all the chances and didn't score. Today you had all the chances, all the possession, didn't score, and I thought 1-0 was going to do it for us. 1-0 did it for Rotherham last week, and we were a bit gutted that we didn't deserve to lose. Today you should feel a little bit gutted you didn't deserve to get a draw. You should have probably won that, but you didn't, so you've got to learn your lessons. You haven't learned your lessons from last season.
I mean, you guys must absolutely hate us. Like 2 years in a row that we've come here, we scored a last-minute goal.
I don't hate you. You need to learn.
I think, it's like. I think there's still a little bit something that Wednesday need to do to actually put themselves. I thought last season I was giving you a big shout out to be in the top six when everyone was kind of laughing at me saying that. But I still think, I'm not sure if you've made that next step up now. I'm going to talk in cliches and say maybe you're a bit hungover from the playoff defeat. I think a lot of teams suffer, and almost actually everything I saw out there today was what happens to teams after they lose in the playoff final, is that they batter teams and can't work out how to score, and then everyone goes into panic mode, and then you start trying to change things and play players in different positions and bring I think stick with what you got. I'm sure you're going to, maybe you broke the mold today with that last minute equaliser.
So what would you? What's the hope for Brentford this year? What do you feel that you can achieve this year?
It's interesting. It depends on who you speak to. If you speak to the directors of football, a recent fans forum, they said we're going to be top six. We think actually they said that because they were put on the spot, and the realism is that we're still a team who is trying to develop. We've got some players in which we're happy with, but we're the new Brentford. Dean Smith has actually formed the new Brentford. We had the inverted commas Mark Warburton Brentford. Most of those players have left now this season, so we've got the new Brentford now, which is the Dean Smith Brentford, and he's still trying to work with these players there, and he hasn't got the full complement of players that he wants in. So we're a little bit less not comfortable or about where Brentford are going to be, maybe than the predictions that have been, because we see them week in and week out. We haven't got the wingers that we need. We haven't got the creative players. Last season we had Canos. The season before we had Pritchard. Alan Judge is going to be out till Christmas. Even though I know, and we had a laugh when we went to your bar a few months ago, and we had all of Wednesday fans singing Alan Judge, Alan Judge. He scored the goal that sent us up, which is Brentford. But I found it hilarious that you Wednesday fans were singing it. But Alan Judge, now as we talked about singing that, he's actually not going to be back till Christmas. But still, Newcastle tried to buy him with a broken leg a couple of days ago, which was just absolutely hilarious, which goes to show you the state of the league that we're in at the moment now. So we haven't got the creative player that we've got, so we know that we're a little bit short, and if we don't get a player in the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be beating decent teams one week and then losing to other teams one week, rather than having a week in and week out knowing exactly what we're doing. We're realistic fans.
Wednesday aren't going to be a million miles away though. You're clearly a strong team. You had width, you had strength coming forward. It didn't go your way today, and I believe it hasn't gone your way in certain other games this season. You created a lot of chances, and over the season those chances will lead to goals. You just need to carry on doing what you're doing. From the way I look at it, you may not be top 2, but you're at least in the playoffs again, and just carry on doing it. If you can get Forestieri, if you can keep him, he didn't have a great day. He missed a couple of sitters.
Was he still on strike?
No, he missed a couple of sitters, mate. But there was enough about Wednesday today that I thought, you're still a very strong team. You're better than us today. Should have probably won it, but we still go. We didn't win.
So as ever, thank you to the Brentford guys who were incredibly hospitable and were great hosts, and it was brilliant to see them all again. And my apologies for how drunk I was. What's even worse is that about half an hour after doing that, my mum rang me because it was her birthday. So I had a conversation with my mum while I was in that state. So sorry, mum.
I heard you on the Brentford when they posted their stuff over the weekend, and I thought it was just normal James, really, that we all know. Just wasn't any different, really. Just piss James.
It's not what the podcast listeners know, though, is it, Richie Obin? They're used to the professional, calm, beautifully pronounced James, and then there's that other James that we all know and love.
What we know rather than the readers.
Of course, the chaps over there at Be Sorted did pop some videos up, and there are some Wednesday faces that you might notice from Twitter over there as well. So if you would like to have a little nose at that, just pop in Be Sorted into your Twitter feed, and you'll see all those details on there as well.
Here's a question. Where would you find all of the following in one place? Chairs, tables, beer, Vic, James, more beer, Dickie Owl, Eddie, more beer, and the rest of the Wednesday week gang. That's right, it's the Riverside Cafe's new outside bar. All of your favourite lagers, ciders, soft drinks and hand pump ales are now available outside. Come and see the gang and give it a try. The Riverside Cafe's new outside bar. Now open on match days.
Right then, ladies and gents. So, of course, as we are recording, it is transfer deadline day. And James, as an official bell ringer, how long do we have left?
As it stands right now, we have 24 minutes left. Sorry, just gone 23 minutes now left of the transfer window.
You're such a radio DJ. Okay, it's coming up to 23 minutes before the big hour of 11 o'clock. We got some great hits coming up from Level 42 and Culture Club. But first, here it is. It's Dan Fudge.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks a lot, Eddie. Are we still recording?
It's James's Deep Bar.
Right then, so of course the big news of the evening, ladies and gents, is that Adam Reach has signed from Middlesbrough, reportedly between sort of £4 and £5 million.
There's a place
I think it's more than that, isn't
just
it?
for you. It's a special place.
Guys, that's not working. You're so out of time with each other. That was terrible.
She's doing the backing vocals.
It was so bad. It rivaled the original. It was that bad.
They're called S Club Party now, and oh god, I don't want to tell the stories. I don't think I'm allowed.
No, and
not
to be honest
suitable
with
for a
you,
family audience.
you do know quite far too much about S Club 7. It's a bit worrying.
I worked at Butlins. What are you going to expect? You know what I mean?
So yes, this is big news. And the other sort of really big thing about this, the contract length is huge. It's a 5-year contract. That's massive, isn't it?
That's because he's cost a ruddy fortune. Apparently, it is 5 million, possibly rising to 7 million. So it's a huge amount of money. So if you do it over a longer contract, it spreads it out how much you have to put in your accounts for each year. You know, a bit like if you buy a cooker for a business, you can say it's going to last 10 years, so you can put it over 10 years. It's like that with footballers. That was a really shit example, that wasn't it? But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's called dilapidation, isn't it? That's what you depreciation. It begins with D. So it's that. Yeah. So 5 years, 5 million quid, and I think, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, or someone will correct me if I'm wrong on this. That does actually make him now our record signing.
Absolutely right. Our record was $4.5 million for Paolo Di Canio before that.
So there we go. So we have a new
I think
record.
we'll all agree that Adam Reach is a better player than Paolo Di Canio. Okay, so none of us will agree that Adam Reach is a better player than Paolo Di Canio, but that just goes to show that football has moved on. And if there's one thing that we need, it's more midfielders.
And it only took us 20 years to get anywhere near what we spent before.
If I'm absolutely honest, I don't know a terribly large amount about this chap, other than what everybody else has probably Googled and looked at Wikipedia as well. So it came through the Middlesbrough youth setup. He's been on loan all over the place: Darlington, Shrewsbury, Bradford, and Preston, and essentially we're his second proper club, if you like. And if we're breaking his transfer record on, but somebody I don't really know a great deal about. I mean, am I just completely clueless about this chap, or am I missing something, or
No,
are we just going to all be shocked?
I didn't know a great deal about him either, but doing a bit of trawling around on Twitter, and I've got a few friends that are Preston fans. He spent the majority of last season on loan at Preston. Actually, he went on loan to Preston after he'd scored against us in the game at Hillsborough. That was the last game that he played for Middlesbrough last season, and then they shipped him out on loan. And apparently, he was pretty handy at Preston. I think a few of them are a bit surprised about the kind of fee that's involved in it. But we've got to remember he's 23 years old. This guy's young. He's got the lion's share of his career still in front of him, and he's a British player, so he's going to cost money. How much he costs doesn't really matter, does it? It's the fact is that we needed a left-sided player. I would think that we've been scouting around. We've decided that this is, the best option that we've got. He can play left back as well as playing left wing. Middlesbrough fans speak really highly of him. I think they're a little bit sad to see him go. There was a few people saying that they were sadder to see him go than see Adoma go earlier on today. So there's something to be said for that as well. So he comes with a bit of pedigree. And do you know what? The fact that he's not coming in as this massive big name signing means he's not going to have that huge pressure on his shoulders. If we were bringing in, let me be the first person to say this on the podcast then. If we were bringing in Jordan Rhodes, then he'd be expected to go out and score a hat-trick against Wigan in a couple of weeks, wouldn't he?
We're bringing in Jordan Rhodes?
Oh, God,
is that confirmed?
No, not happening. But yeah, so
that was a premature bell. That one, James. You can't just start chucking around bells willy nilly. You know what I mean?
If you get your own chuffing bell, I'll use mine when I want. All right.
But no, you're quite right, Jay. It is going to take a lot of pressure off a young chap, and obviously looking at his playing position, not only does he play left wing, but he does play left back as well. So is this going to sort of be a little bit of a sort of a Helland situation where he's a bit of a utility player as well?
No, it's going to be Andy Inchcliffe. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be the big chin left back.
Christ, let's hope not, please.
The Borough fans that I've been speaking to, because obviously as I've said, we've got a lot of midfielders already. So my thinking was, not knowing much about Adam Reach, he's a utility player down the left. So what we're thinking is he's really going to be a left back for us, isn't he? More than anything else, because we've got we've got enough players who can fill in further forward and can offer more going forward. The Borough fans regard him as a pure winger. They don't regard him as a player who is a naturally defensive player. And given that Carlos is very unlikely to go to three centre-backs, given that we've only got three centre-backs, it's probably more likely that he is there to be an attacking force rather than anything else. So I don't know whether it actually helps us in terms of our strength in depth defensively, but I think it's another building block in what we're doing, which is gradually increasing the quality of the squad that we've got at our disposal. I'm starting to worry now that we're a little bit top heavy in that we've got a lot of good players, and unless we are going to forcibly rotate them, then we're spending a lot of money on players who aren't going to see an awful lot of game time because we've got an embarrassment of riches in certain areas. But all that notwithstanding, he is exactly the sort of player that I think Mr. Chansiri and his advisors and Carlos have been looking for, which is young, hungry, with pedigree, but as yet unproven, not big names. Until we sign Jordan Rhodes in 15 minutes,
there's still time. Great.
Let's enjoy talking about Mr. Reach. It's all good.
Right, so obviously Mr. Reach is signed, he is sealed, he is in the bag. We have had some outs as well, haven't we? A really rather interesting one. Mr. Laborie has crossed the city, which hasn't happened very many times, obviously, in the history of Sheffield, but a bit of an odd one, this one, isn't it? Looking at his photo, he didn't look terribly pleased about it, did he?
No, it's not an odd one for me. I don't mind it. I know it says I don't mind it, but he's a young lad. He wants to play football. He ain't got to move out. He ain't got to move out of his parents because I don't think he's old enough to buy an house. And it's not like it's Lee Bromby and Alan Quinn leaving to go for a better team. Fair chuffs to him. Do what he wants.
I spoke to I've got a good friend of mine, James, I went to see today. Not our James, who's a Blade, and he was asking me about him, and I said, do you know what, for you guys, he is a cracking signing. He could do so well for them. Don't get me wrong, like for us, he was out of favour, and he needed to either be loaned out or shipped on. He's only a young guy, and give him his opportunity. But I think it's a great signing for them. Him and Leon Clark up front, Jesus.
I kind of feel like if he'd have gone anywhere else, I would be, wishing him the absolute best, and I hope he bangs in goals. And I'm not saying that I don't wish him the best, but I don't really want to see him scoring loads of goals. So it's just kind of, I'll give him a bit of a wave and a slightly fond farewell, and then that's it.
What will happen is that he'll score 15 goals by the time January rolls around, and then McCabe will sell him to Everton for £1.5 million. So, and that money will go in his back pocket. So, you know what? Who cares? Get on. Good luck, Keelan. Use this opportunity to go to a better club rather than continue to drop, down the leagues into pub league football.
I spoke to my kids tonight who are on holiday at the moment, and Riley's first comment was, "But I won't be able to score goals from the halfway line on FIFA anymore." After I told him it's so late, so that's what he's good about. So.
Of course, we had another out as well. Has this been confirmed that Victoria's favourite feminine product has now got off the press?
Vermigel, he has gone. See you later, Vermigel. If you get a rash now, you're going to have to get penicillin.
Who's he play for?
Oh, Reach.
Can he play left back? We'll have him.
Is it Reach toothpaste? You wouldn't want to put that on an infection in that delicate area.
Well, unless it's your tooth.
Of course, Mr. Vermigel was essentially sort of third choice right back, wasn't he?
I love how we all call him Vermigel now.
Mr. Vermigel, that's a bit of respect for the chap. Mr. Vermigel was essentially third choice right back, so I can't see that he's a great loss to the team, is he?
I suspect he was probably fourth choice, actually, because we probably played Kieran Lee there before we play him. And actually, do you know what? He looked all right in a couple of pre-season games, and I did wonder for a minute whether or not he could be a squad player this year, whether he could have a role to play for us. But evidently not. We've got 5.5 minutes of the window left.
There's no transfer news. It's all a load of shite. It gets people hooked every year, and I'm a naysayer of shite. And how long we've been doing this show, Lord Hillsborough? How long?
Far too long. 5 years, Olsen.
5 years, and I think I do this joke twice a year. It's like, Eddie, you must sing along with me on this one. It's like having 6 months to do your coursework, and then what?
Doing it
what
all
am I
on the
going to
night
say?
before it's due in.
Hey, there you are, you see. It's not a thing. It's just utter nonsense.
Well, thanks for that, Fudge. What I was going to say is 5 minutes of the transfer window left. We're obviously not going to sign Jordan Rhodes. However, it hasn't stopped us having a bit of a giggle this evening. And I think, is this the first time that we've ever got something trending like in the UK? I don't think we've ever. I don't think we've done that before.
Millwall Cause this did pretty well, didn't it?
So certainly for like 3.5, 4 years or something since we got something trending. So what I'll do if Rhodes signs, we managed to get trending earlier on, and I couldn't even keep up with it after a while. I had to give in. I was trying to keep notes of like the best ones, and I just gave in because they were that good. So you need to go on Twitter now if you've not already done this, and stick in hashtag what I'll do if Rhodes signs, and just have a look because it's brilliant.
I was running naked up the street.
Me and Vic were getting married.
Favourite. Yeah, we were, yeah. And then someone commented saying, God, just get on with it. It's blatant that you two want it. It's like, yeah.
And I replied, yes, but for tax purposes.
But my favourite one, I'm sorry, because like you said, we've had a lot of tweets, so I don't know who it was that tweeted this, was the guy that said he would leave his wife after 7 years and then put, please God, make him sign.
Oops.
That's like Andy Cap.
But no, as we said, James, this was a fantastical hashtag, and I must admit, a good time has been had by all. Just like you, Jay, I was trying to keep up with this, and he just went a bit silly, didn't he?
It went so silly that Joe Bennett joined in and said that he'd seen it, and it made him lol.
Do pop over there to Twitter and have a little nosy, and see what the Weekers would do if Jordan Rhodes ever did sign for the Wednesday.
The transfer window is now closed, ladies and gentlemen. That's your transfer window is now closed.
Wow. It sounds more epic when Jim White does it.
Well, I can do it with a slight Scottish accent if you'd like, if that'd make it better for you.
and the transfer window is now closed.
Gladiators ready! That's what it sounded like. Amazon, you've got big thighs! I don't know if you ever said that.
So essentially, that's that then, ladies and gents. Of course, there is the possibility that a signing could pop out, but I don't think we're really expecting anything yet. So as a transfer window, now it's closed and we've waited up so we can talk about the chuffing thing. Are you happy with how everything has gone? Certainly, I know Carlos will be incredibly happy that the whole thing's all over and done with, as he has mentioned on numerous interviews. But as fans, do we think we've done enough to cover ourselves essentially now for the season? Because, of course, there's no loan window, is there?
In 5 years of doing this podcast, we've done a lot of transfer windows. And we all know how a transfer window goes as a Sheffield Wednesday fan. What happens is we announce that we've sold Majid Bagheera or Chris Brunt to a team in the Premier League. And we sign Gary Taylor-Fletcher on an emergency loan. That is our transfer deadline day, effectively. Our transfer window this time has been ludicrous. We kind of drip-fed it a little bit. And I think Wednesday fans have maybe lost the perspective of quite what we've achieved. In a transfer window, not only have we signed... who have we signed? So we've signed Abdi and Poodle. We've signed Will Buckley. We've signed Dave Jones. Not even shit Dave Jones, the manager. David Jones, the real player. We've signed Fletcher. We've signed Big Keane, the keeper. And we've signed Sasso and we've signed Reach. So they're all new players. And there's not one of those that is like a rubbish player. They're all proper players. And then on top of that...
Eddie, we didn't lose Fessy.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We didn't lose. Yeah,
we didn't lose anyone.
Imagine 2 weeks ago, we were all absolutely bricking it at the idea that Fessy was going to go and the whole thing was going to, come down like a house of cards. So we signed all these players, we kept Fessy, and then we also signed Tom Lees and Kieran Lee and Kieran Westwood and Ross Wallace. Did he sign a contract, Ross Wallace? All of those guys signed new contracts with us. So we've gone through an entire transfer window and we have got £12 million worth of extra players, and we've probably kept £12 million worth of players that we had last year without them going to other clubs. This is ridiculous. This is not the way that Sheffield Wednesday do it. We should be dancing in the streets at how good this transfer window has been. So, yeah, obviously we are going to sign Jordan Rhodes in the next 10 minutes, but even without him, it's been an unmitigated success. We've kept everyone we wanted to keep. We've improved the squad. We are flying without wings right now.
I think probably the only thing that we might look at and say we missed out on is bringing in another left back. That would be the one position whereby we're a little low on cover. We've still got Halan, who I'd imagine we'd probably got lined up to send out on loan if we'd have brought someone in, but we haven't. And we were looking at, I've got to say this right, Morgan Fox, not Megan.
Not Megan.
I'm Morgan Fox.
And if rumours are to be true, we actually put 1 or 2 bids in, but they got rejected. So it looks like that one's not gonna happen, which is a shame. And probably 1 or 2 other left backs that we know of. Obviously Bennett and a few other players that we got in for and not got. So that's probably the one position where we're just a little bit low on cover. Apart from that, it's been a great transfer window. We've got a stronger squad now than we did at the back end of last season. We've got a better squad now than we did when we reached the playoff final. Now that's got to bode well for us.
Can I just clarify then the loan situation? So there's no loan window. Can we still have emergency loans?
No loan window.
No loans whatsoever.
Can't do anything until January now.
Okay.
You can have an emergency loan for a goalkeeper.
All right. Okay. Cool.
But barring that, no, you're stuck.
The only thing that you can still do is a player who hasn't got a club, so a free agent you can buy outside of the well, not buy, but you can give them a contract outside of the window.
Yes.
I've heard that Enoch Shawumni is a free agent, guys. So
let's get in there.
Stop going on about Enoch Shawumni. You're not going to meet him.
I know it. One day I will.
Whether you're celebrating a birthday, a wedding or anniversary, maybe you've passed your driving test, or you've landed a new job. Well, whatever your reason for a party, the Riverside Cafe is the perfect location on Catch Bar Lane overlooking Hillsborough Stadium. To inquire about hiring us for your function, call 07989 856 054 or 0114 232 6121.
Right then, ladies and gentlemen, let's crack on then, shall we? Of course, looking at sort of ex-Wednesday players as well, there's been a bit of an England call-up for an ex-Wednesday chap, hasn't he?
Mr. Antonio. To say he was with us, what, 2 years ago, and then Forest for a year, and I went to West Ham. He's proper turned his kind of, because the time he was with us, I thought he was just fading a little bit. He wasn't as good as he was when he first came to us, and there was rumours about him not being paid enough, and went to Forest for a lot more money, and now he's in the England squad. So fair play to him.
That's Big Sam all over, though, isn't it? That is what Big Sam does. He doesn't play by the rules. He's like one of these detectives on some sort of American show. He doesn't colour between the lines. He doesn't play by the rules. But, he's gone with, statistically, one of the best midfielders in the Premiership who's English. So go for it. I think that's great. And high five to Antonio. I think that's a brilliant, brilliant move. Like, I wasn't his biggest fan during his last few months at Wednesday, but he's been great for West Ham. You can't fault him.
No, absolutely. And I think obviously everybody here at the Wednesday Week would wish him all the best, wouldn't we, ladies and gents? Right. So next bit on the agenda here, and again, this is I'm just reading this from James. Where are they now, James?
Yeah, that's mine, not James. That's one of mine. One of the things I wanted to do was kind of just open up a little bit of interaction on social media for our readers about ex-Wednesday players and where are they now. Now, I picked one completely random recently that I thought I'd check out there. I don't actually know what he's doing now, but it's a guy called Des Hazel. I don't know what everybody remembers him. He played for us about 1996. Played for us for a couple of years, then went to Rotherham. And I'm just going to open it up and just if our readers can tweet us and let us know what he's doing now.
We have got an international break coming up, and you'll have seen a lot of essentially nonchalant hashtags coming out from the Wednesday Week Twitter feed, sort of trying to fill this gap. And we do need something to talk about next week as well, don't we, Richie Albin? So,
Ash, where are they now?
If you do send us your Wednesday players and where they are now, we'll be happy to have a little chat about it next week. Right.
And get them on the pod. If they want to come on the pod and tell us where they are now, that'd be awesome.
The thing is, with a lot of the older generation of footballers, they do have trouble with the internet, don't they? A lot of them aren't great when it comes to things.
Ageist. We let Eddie on.
He's right though, isn't it? To be fair,
low blow.
I was going to say, I like the fact that we've got Lord Hillsborough having a go at people who aren't very good at the internet. When every week before we start the podcast, and we go, "Oh, there's a running order on Facebook." He goes, "Oh, I'm not very good with Facebook. Oh, I hate Facebook." Me.
The thing with Facebook is that you can't have parody accounts on Facebook. So essentially, I don't exist on Facebook. So I don't.
Whoa! You're ruining it! Stop saying words! No! Look, listen, kids, Lord Hillsborough's real. He's real as Santa Claus.
I'm perfectly real, but I only exist in one place, which is Twitter, because apparently nobody else will have me. I can't possibly think why. So James is absolutely right. I'm not fantastic with Facebook, and that's where the running order goes.
It's when he keeps liking our posts, so it looks like we're liking our own posts. It just doesn't work.
It does.
I have to go through and unlike them.
Before I get this sort of bat around the head as the old man of the podcast, I'll just remind you who does the editing, and who'll probably cut all this bit out as well, so you can all get stuffed. No, I'm not joking. But no, that it can be an issue at points. Obviously, we've had various people on the podcast before. We're not naming any names, but some people have asked the question, "What's Skype?" and things like that. So it can be a little bit difficult sometimes. Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on. And of course, it's time for our little bits. Who'd like to go first with their bits?
Me.
Whip your bits out, Vic.
Oh, I've got a fantastic little bit for you this week, my lord. So, I don't know if anyone saw, but there was a post that when I saw it on Sheffield Online from a guy who was trying to raise money for a little boy who's 2. who's got a rare form of sarcoma, which is a cancer. And he's called Jordan Reed, and he's a huge Wednesday fan. His whole family are huge Wednesday fans. Obviously, he's only 2, so he knows the songs and whatever else. But they were trying to raise £200 to buy him a home and an away kit. So it was posted on there, and my best friend tagged me in it. My female best friend, sorry, James, tagged me in it. And said, is there anything you can do? Obviously, like, you've got friends at the club. So I sent it to my good friend Mark Rowan, who is on the press team at Sheffield Wednesday. And within a day, I got a phone call from him saying, do you know any more about this kid? Can you find out any more? We really want to help out. And I can confirm that as of 2 p.m. today, Mr. Louvens went to the Children's Hospital and delivered 2 full home and away kits to this little boy and made his whole family's day and him. And there are some beautiful, beautiful photos of Mr. Louvens holding him. And just to put it out there, like, a lot of players, they do have sort of, I know from when I worked there, you do have so many hours that you have to do for community sort of work, service, whatever. As a player, you know, you're meant to go out and you're meant to do your bit for the community. But I know for a fact that Glenn Louvens does a lot more than he's contracted to, especially when it comes to children. And he was more than happy at a day's notice to go down today and give that little boy his kits. I just wanted to shout it out tonight and just say a massive, massive thank you to Mark Rowan at Sheffield Wednesday and to Glenn Louvens, because that is brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Victoria. And well done for getting involved as well, Vic. That's brilliant. Anybody else? Any other little bits?
Yeah, so continuing my new regular feature, which is the Carlos quote of the week. And it came out with one of my favourites, actually. This is from, I think it was before the Brentford game. I don't fully understand this, but it's funny, where he said, I don't want bodyguard from discotheque in my midfield. It's not my game. Don't know what it means, but it made me smile. So thank you to Carlos for his quote of the week this week. Keep them coming, please. And the other thing I want to mention, and he's a humble guy, so he probably won't want to talk about it himself, but Lord Hillsborough made his first radio appearance in the last week. Didn't you, Lord?
After a fashion, yes. Again, me being me, Radio Yorkshire does a lot of tweeting about non-South Yorkshire football clubs. So essentially, I was being a little bit cheeky, and they invited me on. I honestly do believe that they invited us on to try and scare me off and shut me up. But
any particular team that they do talk about quite a lot?
Yeah, it's that dirty one that play in white over there in West Yorkshire. And they do talk about them a lot. So, of course, being a bit cheeky, as I tend to do when I see things like that. And it turns out they're actually quite nice chaps over there. So they invited me on the show and off I popped. And again, I did feel a little bit like I'd be walking into the Lion's Den. And they couldn't have been more pleasant. So, yes, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for Radio Yorkshire for having me on. And it was great fun.
And my favourite bit about the entire thing was that you were getting tweets and messages saying, I'm really glad you did it in character. But what they don't know is that is how you speak.
Absolutely. This is my most Yorkshire accent that I have, Old Bean, because obviously everybody from Yorkshire says Old Bean quite a lot. So it was really, really nice of them to have me on, and hopefully we can represent South Yorkshire football over there another time. So if you do follow Yorkshire Radio on Twitter and you do see them being a bit to West Yorkshire, then by all means, just let them know. It's great fun.
Just on that note, well, 2 things on that. Firstly, did they actually tell you where the studio is before they asked you if you'd go in?
No, they didn't.
All right, because it is at Ellen Road.
Well, that does explain quite a few things, of course.
It used to be owned by Leeds United, effectively. It's a Ken Bates project, or was a Ken Bates project. That's why it was set up, and that's why it is a little bit, or has traditionally been, a little West Yorkshire biased. But one of my mates, Joe, is one of the journalists there, and I know that they're trying to do a lot more with the teams over here. So Joe has asked if I could just do a quick plug and just say that any Wednesday fans that do fancy going on, they do an hour-long football phone-in every Tuesday evening. If there's any of our listeners that fancy making an appearance on that, if you go on Twitter at Joe Rawson, drop him a quick follow, drop him a message, and they'll be glad to get you on.
I have a tweet of the week, my lord.
My neighbour, it's 20 past 11 now. My neighbours are going to love me, aren't they?
So it's not Sheffield Wednesday related, but it did make me long. My favourite tweet tonight, again, I can't tell you who it was from because there's been a bazillion tweets tonight about deadline day, but someone tweeted that Wiltshire has 34 caps. That is probably the most shocking thing I've heard in all of the deadline day window. And I thought that was just awesome.
Can I mention a Wiltshire tweet as well that someone, again, I don't know who it was one like the spoof, I think it was like the BBC Sporf account or one of those, that tweeted saying Jack Wiltshire is out injured for 2 months after getting travel sickness on the way to Bournemouth, which made me lol.
There was a lovely one that I saw too, saying that Jack Wilshere will be out for 3 months after getting injured in the medical as well, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Right then, ladies and gents, so that's going to bring us to an end of this week's show. Richie Olbean, if people want to get all of your nonsense over there on Twitter, where can we do that, old boy?
They can find me at Dickie L, and also, like I said earlier, where are they now? Des Hazel's your man. Tell us what he's doing. I have no idea.
James Olbean, if people want to get it over you over there on the Twitteridge, where can we do that, my darling?
Yeah, well, it's International Weekend, isn't it? So I will exist only in Twitter form this weekend. You won't be able to find me getting drunk. Well, you probably will, but not at a football match.
I've got to say.
So yeah, get me on Twitter at James Marriott.
Fudgy, old boy, if you want to find all the, I must say, Fudge, fantastic tweeties this week. The video of your transfer deadline day followings did make me chortle rather heartily, old boy. But if people want to see that video, where can we do that? Fudge?
Yeah, man. You can find me at Dan Fudge.
What? What? I'm on the A31. Can we see with
Oh my God! We've just witnessed the death of Dan Fudge. What just happened?
Oh my God! I can't breathe.
It turned out that Fudge was a cyborg all along, and he just powered down.
You can find me at Dan Fudge. Anyway,
honest, I don't think anybody's surprised by that news.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
What's happening? I don't know what's happening. Am I supposed to be saying bye now?
Yes.
Please say
Where can we find you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right, by the way?
Yeah, we can hear
all
you
right.
fine.
All right. Yes, you can. Yes, start again. Yes, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Dan Fudge on the Twitterings. Get involved. Leave me alone.
If you would like to find Dan, and you didn't catch that, it's at the Dan Fudge over there on the Twitteridge. Eddie Olbean.
Can you hear me now? Are we still recording?
I can't even breathe.
I'm going to need a minute.
It's too much. I'm crying. I'm sweating. It's just. Oh, God, my ribs hurt. Everything hurts.
That's the funniest thing that's ever happened on this podcast.
Are we still recording?
Eddie, old boy, if people want to find you over there on the Twitteridge, where can we do that, Obi?
So I am not going to be available this weekend because I am upgrading Dan Fudge to Dan Fudge XP. Because clearly there's been some sort of horrendous technological malfunction and it needs to be patched urgently. Yeah, if you've got any guides to how we can bring Dan Fudge back correctly online.
Turn him off and on again. Turn him off and on again.
Wiggle his mouse.
I will be rebooting Dan Fudge. And if you want to watch, I'll be live tweeting at Sausage Arms.
Fantastic. Of course, if you'd like to get over me over there on the Twitterage, you can do that at Lord H. That's E. That's L0. I can't speak. You know where I'm on Twitter. Jesus Christ. We say it every chuffing week. If you'd like
just in case you care, I'm Victoria1867 on Twitter as well.
And we are still.
It's fine. It's fine. You just do yourself. That's fine.
You can blame Fudge, Vic. I apologise, my darling. Of course, you can follow the podcast over there on Twitter at TWWcast. Get us all in the know. I'm sorry, we're going to have to stop. This is I've lost it. I'm gone. I'm completely gone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us. Be good. Be safe.
Well, see ya.
I will see you real soon.
See you all then.
We'll see you real soon.